Happy Saturday, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It's the 23rd of September, 2023, the first full day of fall here. Doesn't look very fallish here today. Again, we get the outer bands of Tropical Storm Ophelia that made landfall here in North Carolina. So it's a pretty stormy day here, cool, windy. Only had a gust about 26 miles an hour so far, but could get up to about 40 here later today. So again, welcome to fall. Again, it arrived about 2:50 this morning. So again, start to look for the leaves to changing. In fact, some of the leaves around here are already starting to change a bit. So I thought while we're talking fall, let's talk winter. So our year-ahead outlook, again, this is just an aggregate of the U.S. as a whole, 260 major cities, but our snowfall index shows the most in 10 years, 20% more than last year and 15% above average. So a snowy winter is what we're suggesting here again for the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, Northeast. Again, kind of a nor'easter type winter scenario here. So nothing like we've had the last few years. So again, it should be a interesting season ahead. In fact, Ophelia is kind of a bellwether of that. Again, it developed down in the Florida area, and again, it's initially was just a kind of a tailing end of a cold front, a low pressure system that became a warm core tropical system here, made landfall around Emerald Isle, Outer Banks, North Carolina, around 6:15 this morning. Winds were actually supposedly 69 miles an hour sustained, gust 86. We'll see about that. That was the official hurricane center at landfall. So now it's heading north is just a heavy rainmaker. Look at the Atlantic hurricane season here. It's hard to believe here with an El Nino cycle. Normally, we would not be leading the world pack, but we are. The Atlantic basin has 16 storms, 6 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes, 57% above average for this point in the season. Should only have about 10 systems at this point. So we're leading the world regions, Northeast Pacific, Northwest Pacific, Indian Ocean. No matter how you slice it, again, the Atlantic basin has been the most active around the world. Again, a little unusual, and that probably going to continue here. We look like we're going to get Philippe, number 17 here, probably sometime this week, actually next day or so. So early track and intensity suggests that might be just a fish storm making a right turn before it hits the windward islands. We'll see about that, but again, likely become a Cat 2, maybe even a Cat 3 major hurricane. So we'll see here. But right now, the model suggests that may not impact the islands or the U.S. So again, we can just see here, looks like the animation here. Ophelia moving north and dissipating, and then Philippe out in the central Atlantic. Looking at last week world summer here, week ending here today, 23 September. Here in the U.S., one of the few spots that's cooler around the world, 0.8 cooler than last year, still 9th warmest in 38 years. 50% wetter than a year ago, puts it about 15th driest in 38 years, so below average nationally. Again, these are somewhat good trends, again, to an extent for fall seasonal merchandise sales. So cooler, wetter is better. Wasn't great, but at least a bright spot compared to the rest of the world. Europe, number 1 hottest in 38 years. Russia, hottest in 38 years. China, the hottest in 38 years. Brazil, the hottest in 38 years. So warm trend. Again, that's typical El Nino, strong El Nino. Again, the world tends to heat up under this cyclic pattern. Maps inset left are the trends versus average. Big map here is the trends versus last year. If we look at this week here, again, hard to believe it's the last week of September here, but the week ending 30 September here in the U.S., about 3.7 warmer than last year, 3rd warmest in 38 years, so much above average national temperatures. Cool spots would be here along the East Coast, West Coast, but again, we're going to be moderating here as we go through the week in the East. So cool and damp, rain-cooled air here next few days, but again, that'll be a warming trend as we go through the week ahead here. Rainfall, 37% drier than last year, driest in 15 years, 9th driest in 38 years, so below average. Again, soggy here in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, mid-Atlantic area with remnants of Ophelia, and again, some storminess in the Pacific Northwest. So cool wet, we'd say the Pacific Northwest is the bright spot for fall seasonal sales. Looking at next week, which gets us in the first full week of October here. Again, to continue those warm trends, 3.6 warmer than last year, 4th warmest in 38 years, so much above average national temperatures. If there's a good spot, it's going to be there in the Rockies in the west. Map bottom left there is compared to last year is much cooler in the west and the Rockies. So again, some uptick in the west for fall seasonal sales. Got some rain there in the Pacific Northwest, northern Rockies, so that'll help. But overall, nationally, only 20% wetter than last year, 5th driest in 38 years, so much below average rainfall here for the first part of October. So again, not great. Warmer, drier trends are just typically not the ideal scenario here for retail seasonal sales, which will have mounting inventory. And good news for you is eventually all these products will be on sale, be steeper discounts as we go into the fall season. We look at the world 2-week aggregate here now, just again, aggregating all those trends through the 7th of October. Pretty much wall-to-wall warm across the world here. If there's, again, a good spot, we'd say it's Pacific Northwest, maybe California. That's about it, again. So generally a warmish pattern for the world overall. And expect these trends to continue into November and maybe start to break down here, and then things could flip on a dime here as we get into mid to late December. January, February, March, April could be pretty cold and snowy. So enjoy it for now. Again, big changes coming here with the El Nino cycle, among others, later this late fall, winter. So folks, have a great week, and we'll be back here again this time next week.